Hello friends, Celeste here. So today I am working on some Shabby Chic clusters, and these may be a little larger than some of you guys are used to, but from what I understand they're supposed to be about the size of a playing card. So I guess it depends on how big your playing cards are. And I did pretty good on this one, as you can see. But then these others, I kind of like kept adding to it, so they got a little bit bigger. So you can always cut them down. But basically a playing card is 3 inches by 5 inches. And that would mean, I don't know how many centimeters, but 1, 2, 3. So that would be about 7.5 centimeters by 10 centimeters if you're using metric. So the way I started on this, I found a very cool, oh, and I meant to pull that out too, to show you. I found a very cool pad, and I got this from ASC Crafts, but I think if you're in England, you probably have a lot of these. So this is it. It is called Summer Blooms Collection. It is, made by, oh, I knew what it was made by. It's made by Crafter's Companion. So, and it just has gorgeous papers in it, and they're double-sided, and frankly, it's good for scrapbooking, making albums, and obviously, as you can see, I just cut pieces off to make my ephemera, and so I think that when I first started doing these, I didn't really know where to start, and so I just went online and looked at a bunch of cute examples, and this was probably my very first Shabby Chic type of ephemera, which I had a lot of fun, cluster, which I had a lot of fun with. And then I made some others that were perhaps a little bit, I don't know, this isn't my favorite color, but the person who was showing me how to do this was working with neutrals and browns and oranges, and so I made a couple of these, but then it was just, yes, they were clusters, but they just weren't girly enough for me, I guess you'd say. So hence the change a little bit. So anyways, we're gonna get started on my first one that I made, which is probably the easiest. So I'm gonna put these aside, and we're just gonna grab one little piece of paper. I have 3 options for myself, and I just picked this one because it seemed like it was well, it doesn't really matter. Actually, which one am I gonna see the most? Actually, you're not gonna see your paper very much at all, so it really doesn't even matter. But this was the most similar to this. And I will advise you, I usually make all my flowers, but this particular one came from something that you could pick up at a hobby store, and I didn't have any more, so I had to make my own, and it's a little bit bigger, and it'll just have to do. So, but the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to rough up our edges, and I just use some scissors, and I just pull it like this, and depending on how rough you want to make it, really, sometimes it will actually tear the papers, and that's okay. I mean, that's the whole idea of getting it rough, right? And then, and unfortunately, of all my preparations, I forgot to get out in advance my ink and daubers to do the edges, but luckily that's just behind me, so I'll just grab it. So you can see, if you look, you'll see there's a lot of movement there, but it's sort of on the subtle side, and it doesn't really matter how much you do it. And then when I'm done roughing these up the way I think I'm done with it, I'm going to use my golf tool to curl one of these edges. So I have 4 of these golf tools, and one of them is my favorite. I seem to use it for everything. So we shall just pick a corner, and I think I shall pick this corner. And all you do is, sometimes people get them wet, but frankly, I don't think it matters that much whether you get it wet or not. But you're gonna curl this around and just hold it for a second. And while it's getting set, I'm gonna find my Distress inks and a dauber, and okay, that seems like that's long enough. All right, so you can see it curls in, and then I don't remember which one, but I think I used the Vintage Photo. This is just some washi tape that makes sure that my lids stay on. So I'm just gonna dab here, and I want to daub on this little thing as well, this little curled area. So I might have to curl it back up again, and I'll just hold that while I daub the edges. There we go. It's just a little quick thing, just adds to that vintage look that we're going for. All right, so that's all done. I'll just put that to the side, and I always store my inks upside down. I'm just gonna put that over here. Then the next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to add some lace and ribbon. So I already have my ribbon already cut, and I just get these over at Hobby Lobby. So what I did is I kind of curled it like this, and then I adhere it down, and oh great, forgot to turn on my glue gun. Let me get that going for you. So we'll want to do that, but inside here I have a piece of lace, and you'll notice it's a little ruffled. So I have, just to save time, I have already threaded this through. It's just a little running stitch, and I'm going to want this to be just a little bit longer than my paper. Just a little, like that. So I'll just finish this off, and then I'll tie a knot in it. On the back side, of course, like you always do when you're sewing. Luckily, it doesn't have to be some amazingly firm knot, because it's not like this is something that somebody's going to wear and you worry about the knots coming out. We're going to glue it in place. All right. And there's that. And I'll just put that thread over here. Okay, so here's going to be our little lace that goes inside here. And again, we're just going to wait for that glue to warm up, but I want to miter my edges. Now, if this was a card or something that I was gifting to somebody, I might be concerned about fraying of the edges of the ribbon. And so in that case, I would use some fray check. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You can get that at any fabric store, or you can get it at Hobby Lobby. Costs, I don't know, $1.99 or $2.99, and it pretty much lasts your lifetime. That's what it is. So you can see I just kind of, oh, didn't do that so straight. Let me fix that. This may be shabby chic, but I still want a straight edge on my lace and my ribbons. Okay, so again, let's just see how this is doing. not too warm yet, but we're getting there. So we'll just put that to the side. And then you have your elements that go on the rest of it. So the first thing I see here is I've got a cute little comment or sentiment. And I picked this up probably at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And it's just got all sorts of cute little things. So I probably won't be able to find the very same sentiment, but I'll find something. This one said, cultivate gratitude. So I will probably, I'm just going to pick this one. This says, make today count. And we'll just get this pulled off. There we are. Oh, no, they were not. Let's try again. That's the childproof, of course. All right, so this one's going to go right up here. So that's there. And we can put this up. And then I have a key that'll go over here. Curl. I want that to curl. I want it to stay curled. And then I've got these cute little leaf things. I just got these. I got these from a place that I think has gone out of business, and it was called Dyes R Us. And I have no idea what the name brand is, but this is what they looked like. You might be able to find it on Etsy or something. So these two particular dyes are my favorite little miniature leaf dyes. So just so you know, so I've got this going on, I've got that going on, and I've got my flower, and I've got some little flowers to go in there. So I'll probably have one of those, maybe a lighter one of these, and so 1, 2, 3, what did I put in here? I had 3 little flowers, a little bit of these kinds of leaves, which I try to save time, of course, by cutting things out in advance for us. And then I've got some pearls, and these are my pearls. Again, this is, look at $7.99. I don't think that was even on sale. But I'm going to want 3 of the smaller ones. Here's one. Just put that to the side. And since they're small, they always fall to the bottom. But luckily, I have my handy dandy tweezers, which can reach down and snag them. There's one, and one real teeny tiny one. Let's see if I can reach down here. Awesome. Okay, so we should be ready to go. Let me just cap that so I don't have pearls going everywhere. That'd be great fun, wouldn't it? We'll move our flowers because, you know, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tack this down. And it doesn't matter left or right, it really doesn't. The main thing is just to make sure that your opening up here is wide enough to fit your lace piece in. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here, and then to protect my fingers, I'm going to use these tweezers. The metal actually helps the glue to dry faster. And then I've got my lace, which I don't think it matters which side, but as you can see, one side is a little higher, bouncy, whatever you want to call it, than the other. I don't know. I think I like it better this way. So again, I'm going to put a couple of beads of glue on here, and then I'm going to reach through here for my lace. And then we'll kind of press it down on those spots. Back here it doesn't really matter so much. There. And all this lace, by the way, I buy almost all my lace at Hobby Lobby, but a couple of the ones that I have today I actually ordered online, and they came from Blue Fern Studios. So that's getting set up. I'm going to now glue on my key, and you got to act pretty quick because the metal is going to cool off your hot glue pretty fast. So I just want this about here. And then we start putting everything in. So I'm gonna put this little rose in there. Maybe if I was smart, I would have put the rose in and then added the hot glue, but obviously this is not going to be an exact replica since that rose is so much bigger. We'll just add a little glue to this one, sneak it in there. Let's see, I had a greenish one. I like these green ones. I don't know why I like the green edges on the dogwoods, because when you have an actual dogwood, there's very little green, but for some reason it appeals to me. Just push that down a smidgen. And then I want one over there. Get my lace a little bit underneath the flower. A little bit more glue. Next goes in there like so. And then, oh yeah, I have a cute little button right there. So let me grab that baby. Here it is. And I don't know, some people may not like the buttons, but maybe it's too steampunk for some people. You know, I think that maybe I don't really like where I put that flower. Maybe I would like it up a little, maybe a little lower. So I'm gonna add this button and then we'll see, because I have choices of things that I can add, and it'll still look good. It'll just be a little bit different, right? Let's see. So I have a very pink, and I have a hydrangea, which is kind of a funny thing to add in there, but I like that. I think I shall do that. Oh, and I also have this funny little purple thing that I made. You know, I made this from Heartfelt Creations. Let's see, what is that dye called? Petals, wisteria, but I think that's just too big. So we're just going to use this little hydrangea. And you notice this is a scrap. Do you see on the back how I had stamped it before and I didn't like it? So that's just going to go in there. And then we're going to have to add the leaves and the pearls. So I'm going to stuff this little leaf near the back. And this leaf is actually, it's cut from patterned paper, and this was just a little bit of a solid bit of it, but I liked it because it gave variety to the green. So I'm just gonna stuff this down here. There we go. And press on that again. So there's one leaf, and we'll have another one here. And of course you can use regular glue, but since I'm worried about the video lasting for forever, I decided to use the hot glue just to speed things up. I think originally I didn't use all this hot glue simply because, like for instance, that key there, being as it's metal, that means that it's really gonna cool off my hot glue, so I probably didn't use hot glue on that. And then maybe another leaf set here. See how that lace is poking up over the flower somewhat? I'm just gonna try to stuff that down, and then we'll add a leaf on top of it. There we go. There we go. So a little bit extra there. Then we have the white ones. So we have several of these that we can put in. And they go two directions, of course. This one is going to go under here. And the lace is messing it up, but that's okay. And let's see, I think the other would be maybe out here. And then we get to add our pearls and we'll be done with this one. I try not to put too much glue on leaves because I really want them to be able to wiggle around, maybe have a piece standing up or something like that. Do you see how it's up off of the paper? And if you glue it down, then you can't do that. So I don't like everything being flat. I like dimension. And I think all of you guys do too, or you wouldn't be liking Shabby Chic stuff. So this is going to go under here, push down. And this one right here. I think I need that underneath. Just grab that. That way I can leave these things, lift them up. And I'm going to stuff that little part underneath that petal. Sorry if my head's in the way. All right, then the pearls. So one of the things about the pearls is, you know, these are like for, what do you call, beads and making jewelry. And I don't think anybody's going to be wearing this, so I don't want the holes to show. So I'm going to try to put them to the side or down facing the lace. This one is the bigger one, so I'm going to hold it with my tweezers, put a little glue on here. And I'm going to put this one a little closer to that hydrangea there. And then I had one more little pearl, and where has it gone? Right there. Okay, again, I'm going to pick it up, hopefully holding on to where those holes are. Do you see the hole there? It's little, but I'm aware of it, and I'm sure somebody else would be too. So we're going to put this on here. And we're going to tuck that underneath there. And so this didn't turn out exactly the same, but I'm not sure you really want it to be the same. I think I'm going to add a little something here. Let's see, put that down like so. Actually, I think it's just fine. Maybe one little pearl right there. Let me grab one more pearl, a medium-sized one. All right, where are you, mediums? Way down here. Is that medium? Yes. So we will put one more pearl back there behind the kind of bronzed rose. And so I'm going to have to lift up the hydrangea and then tuck it down underneath there. There. And there you go. So not exactly the same, similar. We can move this around if you really want your key pieces to show. Doesn't matter. And so there's our very first piece. And we'll just put these to the side and move on to the next one. Oh, you know what I just realized? I forgot the little feathers. So I've got feathers, lots of feathers. And I just want tiny pieces. So I'm gonna take out this white one and I'm just gonna cut off an edge of it. And the same with this turquoise. I actually can probably tear it off because, you know, it's funny. I wondered to myself, is this a real feather? Who knows? So obviously this is much bigger than that piece. So what I'm going to have to do is sneak it underneath. Without burning myself would be the really cool thing. So there's that. Excuse me. And then this little bit, I'm just going to tear it off. I think I have more feather over here. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on that. Lift up this ribbon and tap it in. And we're done. Now we really are done. So it's not exactly the same, but that's how I made it, basically. I think if I was going to do it again, I wouldn't gather this one quite so much. I think maybe I can do one more thing. Put some glue here to force this to be shorter. There. All right. So moving on to the next one. Put those to the side, and we're going to work on this one a little bit, but we have to let something dry on this, because what I did for starters is I took my piece of paper and I wrapped it in tulle, and I don't know if you can see that, but so since that's going to take a minute, I'm going to get started on that, and then we'll move back to it when that has all finished. I'm not too worried about the edges on this paper, simply because I've got this background around it, but I do want to get going on, see if this is the one I really wanted. I don't think it matters much, frankly, but I'm going to use this one for some reason. So we're going to take this tulle. It just gives it a gauzy sort of appearance. I've even had some tulle that I purchased that I had it, it was all white, but I didn't want it to be white, and so I took one of these distress inks and I just dabbed it all over the tulle to give it an aged appearance. Worked out pretty good too, and dried pretty quick too. So this is just glue. My dries clear glue. Where did I put that silly little flower that goes in it? There we go. So we're gonna take my handy dandy clips and we're gonna fold this in. And the reason I'm not using hot glue on this is simply because hot glue is gonna melt your tulle, and that's not what you're wanting. Okay, go to the other side. And this is not a perfect science, you know, if it doesn't fit perfectly, that's fine. Stuff this under here. So like I grabbed a little bit too much for this side. It won't matter. It's all gonna get covered up in a little bit anyways. And then the last one, we're gonna pull this down. Do that, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of smush there. There. So, like I said, I'm just gonna let this go to the side for now, and we'll get started on this one. And the one thing that I have forgotten to do is print off a cute little picture. Let me double check and see what I've got in my stash. They all may be cute grandbaby pictures. Yeah, but that's okay, because grandbabies are cute too. So we will reprint this one of my cute little granddaughter, Haley. And the other thing that I kind of torn on, so originally this was white, so I could use this white, but as you can see, it's kind of too small. So let me put that aside. And let's try one of these, which happens to work really well, come to think of it, because look at it, I've got that gold lace. So let me just open this up, take out the frame. I have to just snip these wires. And there's another one. Okay. So we're going to snip these wires, and I think this will work good. We'll put that to the side. And so usually I just hold these up to the light and then cut them out. So if you hold it up like that, see, and you've got the light, but this particular one happens to be square also, so that makes it a lot easier to guesstimate. Just gonna mark it there, and I want her ear in there, so I'm gonna mark it here and mark it here. So what we'll do is actually cut inside those lines. And inside the line. And inside the line. Okay, I think I have some glue strings on me. And then, oh yeah, I think I have to take a little bit off the top. And we'll do that right now. This is a smidgen more here, off of each side. Not an exact science. Okay, then we throw these here. And then, perfect. So I will get some glue on here. Just a little bit. Little glue string. And then set this up the way we want it. So there we go. All right, so that's set up and just waiting for us to do the rest of the work. So then we have a piece of paper for that one, and your choice of which one we want. I think we're going with a greenish theme. So again, what we're gonna do on this is we're going to rough up the edges, and we're also gonna curl it a little bit. So, move you there. Gonna rough this up just a smidgen. And I know some of you guys may have better methods for doing this. I actually have some scissors for tearing these things, but I like doing it. I mean, I have not scissors, I have a ruler that I use for tearing these things. So, but right now it's a small area, and I'll show you my ruler on the next one. It's pretty fancy, and I've had it in my stash for so long I don't even remember when I got it. Probably before 2010, that's for sure, because it's purple. Purple is not my color, that's my mother's color. So back to the dyeing again, or aging the edges. So take out our vintage photo distress ink, and we just go blink, 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 blink all the way around. That just gives it that aged look, which is why it would have been so good if I had printed off a picture of a cute little girl in sepia tones for you, but you know, some days are like that. And then this will be cute, and when my daughter-in-law comes over for dinner tomorrow, I can give her this cute little thing, and she'll be thinking I made it especially for her. Isn't that smart? All right, let me put my needle in here. Isn't that a cute little pin cushion? All right, so we've got that. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to glue on some lace. Now lace we can often do with hot glue, but sometimes I'm not a real fan of that. So I'm going to use my Dry's Clear, just simply because I feel a little bit better about it. And again, we'll use some clips to hold it in place. I'm going to put this out of my way, and these little extra leaves out of my way. And so first thing, like I said, is the lace on the edges, and that is this. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty. But this particular one, actually, I'm not going to use Dry's Clear. I lied. I'm going to use this tacky. I don't know why I like it better for doing this, but I do. So glue on here first. And if it will come out, that will be a really good gift for us, won't it? Then we won't have to wait. Come on. There we go. Okay. So we're going to put our lace down like here. There we are. And then I'm going to kind of miter that a little bit. And then I'll add my other piece. And this is where our clips come in. And we're mitering it. Okay. And we're going to flip it over, put on the last little bit of the lace, and trim it the way we need it. It's not liking me, is it? So this goes down here. And then I got a little extra, and I'm going to overlap these. Can't remember which side is up and which side is not. All right, and we'll go just to there. Again, we'll use our clips, hold things in place. And then I'm going to trim that little piece of lace because we won't need it. that's good. Going. Then we have the other piece of lace that I was telling you about that I got from Blue Fern Studios. Which I just love this. I cut this one a little bit longer than originally because I wanted it to actually go up into this corner. So I'm going to actually wait on a second so I can take these here off. What I'm going to do is, see that little butterfly there? I'm going to cut out a butterfly. Not exactly the same, but I did have this little piece, and I think that, actually I think those are moths, come to think of it. I am liking this one the best, but this one is smaller. So what do you think, guys? I think this has some green in it, so I will pick that one. So we'll just fussy cut around it. All right. And I'm not going to worry about the antenna. Just going to cut. All right, here we go. Almost done. Not a perfect fussy cut, but pretty close. Okay, so now we're going to take these clips off for just a second. Put some glue. Once again, I derail myself by turning my glue the wrong way, so that doesn't want to come out. All right, so we're gonna, there we go. A little bit of glue here. And then we'll set it in the corner. And I'm going to put my clips back on. There we go. And then we'll glue the rest of it. Try to get that up here. And when that dries in a little bit, I'll trim off that little bit. Okay, so that's done. Then we get to put on a little ruler. So the little ruler that I had, of course, in this little package of ephemera that I bought, which, by the way, I'm not sure, so sorry, Tim Holtz, I'm not sure I would buy this anymore because I'm not sure, I can't come up with something better myself, although they did have this butterfly. But I want a small little ruler, and they don't have one as long as I like it. So I will have to modify and cut it down. And I think I have choices. That's fat. And that's slim, and then there's this one here, which is about the same size, but color-wise, I'm liking this one the most. So I'm just gonna fake it by seeing how much ruler we had over here. I'm gonna cut it about where it says 5, except I'm gonna cut it backwards. I'm gonna cut it at 7. And just to make sure, I don't know why, but I just want to tap that edge with this Distress ink, just to make sure there's no white showing. There we go. So we're gonna glue this one down a little bit. And then we're gonna put this up. We're gonna put the numbers this way. There we are. And then we're going to put on our photo frame. Okay. I'm pretty generous with my glue. I'm gonna put that right about here. Just let that sit for a second. And then, again, like I said, I wanted to save some time. So what I did is I created these little ribbon deals to go around the frame, but I kind of did that last night. So we're gonna put a little dollop of glue on there, press that down. I've got the other one. Press that one down. There. And I'm going to put my bow on there. Twist that a little bit like that more, okay? And then my moth, or butterfly, whatever, I think it's a moth, I'm gonna sneak in here. And that does two things. A, it adds a moth or butterfly and gives a little bit more interest, but it also covers up the join of those two pieces of ribbon. There. Remember, you don't want to glue down the edges, you want the dimension of those leaves showing, right? All right, this had another little tiny piece of ephemera right there, and I've got one right here. I think I will just use regular glue for this. Maybe not, if it's going to be stubborn. There we are. So we're just going to sneak that in there. And then we'll start working on adding our flowers. Oh yes, one other thing. I did have another bird thing, but do you see how much bigger that is? I'm just not sure that this is something I wanted to add. So I left it off this particular time. I don't know really that I'm gonna add anything there instead. I could put extra flowers, I suppose, or I could put extra leaves. But when you buy these ephemera packs, you get one, right? That's it. Oh, I was also going to mention something else that you had an option of. So I have some dies, and this is the inside of one. So if I had wanted to, I could have used this to frame the baby instead of this thick, chunky thing. And I think it still would have looked good. It's just one of those options I just wanted you to know about. So anyways, let me get going on our flowers. The first little bits of flowers are going to be these little bitty things like this, right? So I have several of them, and then I also pre-made these little lilacs. So I have 2 or 3 of them down here and 2 or 3 of them up there, and so I'll just sort of set them up, 1, 2, 3, and then what I like to do is start off by gluing down some of these leaves. Nice thing about this is I don't have to worry about burning myself. Take that off. I'm going to put this down here. And then we have several others. I just have to get to them. Let's see. I want one that goes the other direction. There we go. Okay. There we go. So this is going to go here. And then I've got one of these. Put that in there. Probably put that about here. And I think I can take this off. Okay. And then a couple more little bitties. Sometimes I have to add these after I put the flowers on, but it's always best to me to get them on before because it's just so hard to rearrange things once you've already got stuff in there. I think I like this one. Okay. And I will hot glue the flowers. All right, so we're going to cut off our little pieces of stamen that I threaded through here. See what colors have I got? Dark, dark. I like this one. Oh, I like that one better. So dark. So we just take a little bit, let me just, before I forget what I'm doing, put a lid on my glue so it's not dried up when I want to use it again in a second. So there's that. So we're going to take a little bit of glue. I'm going to stick this right in the hole of the glue gun. I'm going to put that one right here. Put this one right beside it. And then we have this dark purple one. Which we'll put right here. And again, this is not cookie cutter. This is not going to be exactly the same. Every flower is going to go on individually. Every flower is going to curl and leaf's going to go their own way. So if it's not an exact match to this one, I think, you know, that's actually part of what gives it its character. So let me just put these clips out of the way for us. And then we're going to work on the other end. So I'm going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to put these little ribbons up here. And I'm just going to hold them in place like that. Because I want to be able to do the same thing on this side. I've got this. And this, and this. And let's just see what colors I've got. These, oh, there's one bright purple. And then I think I like 3 different colors, so. Oh, the scissors are up there. All right, we'll just cut these well. There's 1, and 2. And 3. Okay, so again, I'm going to start off by using just plain old glue to put these leaves on. Now these are not going to probably leave the edge of the card, so if I make them a little bit more flat, I think that's fine. Well, so much for that, I fibbed. Okay, and this one, going to actually do this direction. There we go. And then last one right here. And then in a second, we get to dig for pearls again. Okay. All right, so you got your leaves. I have my scissors holding the ribbon out of the way. And I'm gonna put this cap on my glue, put those little extra ephemera pieces out of the way. So let's see, I don't think it really matters which one goes where. There we go. This one's here. That one's there. Oh, I managed to get a little ribbon in there anyways, didn't I? There we go. And then one last flower right down there. And then we, like I said, we'll get to working on the pearls. Some people like the flat back pearls, but I find that actually they don't stick so good to ribbon and lace. They stick good to just plain old paper, but not to ribbon and lace. Okay, so we've got this so far. Put those little extra flowers out of the way. And I've got these 3 little pearls right here that I need to collect and put in place. So just dig around in here, see what I can find. There's one. Come, baby. Is that about size? Yep, right size. One of those. And 2. And then a smaller one. Right there. Okay, so that definitely needs to stay out of the way. And just like before, I'm gonna try to hide these holes that they use for the jewelry. Okay. So that goes there. And you'll see, you know, I noticed that the leaves here go a little bit closer to the pearls, but I also was using an oval. So it's a little different, but I don't care. I think it looks fine. Okay, I'm gonna have to get more glue for my glue gun. Let's see if that'll stick or if I have to get the glue right now. Okay. Bear with me a minute while I get a stick of glue. And then our very last pearl. So now it's gonna need to be restuck. Okay, so let's just squirt that down. There we go. Put that like so. And then this one is going to go about here. I'm back. That goes there. If you really wanted to, you know, when you think about it, I do have extra flowers. Let's see what this would look like. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying, I do have extra flowers. Could do that. Could add an extra one up here if we wanted to. I don't think we need it up top, but maybe here we do. And then an extra tiny bit of leaf, maybe part of a leaf, maybe not the whole thing of it. Let's just see. If we put that whole thing in there, that's almost too much. But if we just take one of them, we could do that. So let's take this baby off. Put a little tiny bit of glue on here. Not usually what I do for something so small. I usually use the other kind of glue, but this will work. And then add a little bit of glue to this baby. There, that kind of pulls it together. So it's not exactly the same, but then again, like I said, we're working with a square frame instead of an oval, and at least you get the idea of how I go about it. And then the very last thing, of course, is going to be to trim off the edges of this extra bit of lace. There we go. And so now you have two. Okay, so the last one, we're gonna put these, you know what I just realized? I forgot to curve the edges. So what I do when I do that sometimes, and I will just show you that real quick, even though it doesn't really apply to anything. So we'll just quick rough this one up, or not rough it, but hit the edges. So even though I'm not gonna make something with this particular one right now, I'm gonna show you what I did. Then I just kind of round it over my fingers, and I do the same thing here. I'm gonna mountain and valley, all right? So it's gonna be like that. So you can see where I'm going. So you'll use a little bit more glue on your frame if you do this, because you've got that indentation, but this makes things look older too. So on this particular one, what I can do now that it's finished is I can curl it a little bit like that, maybe. And it looks okay. It doesn't look exactly like the other one, but it does get that old look to it, which I think is what we're looking for. So let me just curl this under a little bit and get that back where it's supposed to be, because it's not quite dry. There we are. But yeah, so sorry I didn't remember to do that before, but you can see how easy it is to do. So I'm going to move these off, and we're going to go to our very last one, which should be dry now. We're going to first need to cut a base to go to the back of this. So I know this is much bigger than a typical cluster, because when you add this edge, obviously you're adding 1/8 of an inch or something all the way around. But nonetheless, I thought it was fun and I enjoyed doing it. So this is my silly little paper terror, and I did make a there we go. So I kind of figured out where I wanted it already. I'm just going to tear, if it will let me. There we go. And then you can see nicely roughed up all by itself. And then I have another mark right up here. So I'm going to go just a little inside it. There. And then, you know, you can do more if you want to, but what I'm going to do is not worry about that because I'm going to be adding lace to it. But I do have that one little edge. Okay, so there's that. I did not add any ink to the outside, but I think let's go ahead and try that this time and let's just see what that would look like. So this is a vintage photo. I'm going to put that back and get the tea dye just because I want to see. It doesn't really seem like these two are very different in color, but come on, open. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna do the edges. And almost done. All right. So this one has two different kinds of lace on it, unless you count the tulle, then that would be three. I just love this beaded one. It's just so fun. I just suddenly find myself using it on all sorts of things. So what I'm going to do is put some glue again on my paper. There we go. And then I've got two pieces, one's longer than the other. So this one goes here. This one goes here. And I will worry about mitering those at the very, very end. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to glue this. Okay, there we are. And then we're going to take our clips off of this paper. A little extra flour I found. And of course I glued my clip to my paper. And we're going to use these clips to kind of make sure that this doesn't move as we're working with it. There we go. I can hear my husband's alarm off on the back porch. So he's the hero of the weekend or of the week. He is raising our porch. And that may sound odd to you. Look what I did. I put it on the wrong side. Well, it won't matter. Obviously, as you can see, we'll just have mirror images of it. What a fun development. Okay, so we've got this little paper here that I've covered up with the tulle. We're going to add glue to it, press it down on the cream colored paper as soon as the glue decides it wants to come out. And then we'll, there we are. You know, I never use this tacky glue for making cards or scrapbook albums but when I just do plain old crafts, I always do. And I guess I just have more patience with the craft things, because when you're doing cards and things, you just kind of want it to hurry up and get done already. Oh, I know what it is. I'm going to take this and put it on the other side. That's what we're going to do. So we're just going to move this to the other end. All right. So this is the long one. And this is the short one. There we go. Let's get these held in place like that. And okay, that's in place. And then after I get these clipped, we'll work on mitering that corner. This kind of lace is a little bit harder to miter than some others, just because of these bead things that are on it, but that's part of the reason why I like the lace. So I'm gonna cut that like that. And then we're gonna stuff this back in here. And then I'm gonna fold this one back. And we're gonna cheat and use hot glue to speed that up. Gonna grab it with the metal, fold it over into a corner, press down. Remove the extra glue from your mat. Okay. There. Okay, so the corner is now mitered. Yay. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is adhere this bottom piece of lace. So just put this down, and the fact that it wasn't quite the right size I actually liked. Not going to be the case this time. You'll notice I cut off that top edge. So we're just going to do that again. Put our glue on it. Bear with me while we talk the glue into coming out. I think this is about the last time I have to use the Aleene's on this particular project. So we're gonna make sure it's not quite at the bottom, but it is gonna go to the edges. Okay. So then the next thing I have is this little ring. So this came from my Graphic 45 tags, and let me just show you what I mean. Let me grab one of those tags. They come like in a pack, right? And they've got like 5 of them, and each of these has one of these rings, and I never use them for anything. And I just thought, wow, this is totally different, but something that I could do. So I'm going to place that on here. We're going to just use the hot glue, and then what we'll do is we will work on making this little, oh, I'm sorry, making this little bouquet. So this is where we're at right now, right? So this right here came from a pack of ephemera that you can get in the wood. I think it's that's what you would call it, in the wood aisle or wood working over at Hobby Lobby, and it's really kind of cute. So I'm going to put that on top of there, and then like I said, I did a little bit of stuff to speed things along, but I didn't make the flower thing, the bouquet. I'll show you that. So I'm going to put a little glue on here and have to act quick because the metal's going to cool my glue. So I'm just going to put this right here. There we go. Going to put this in place, and I'm just going to put it on the joins. So that's going to be the hinge up here, and then down there. Goes about here. Doesn't have to be perfect. There you go. All right. Then I have a button, which I pulled the back off of, and you'll see the button here. So usually I put this on at the end, but I'm just going to cut the button off right now. There we go. Come on now. There we are. Okay, so that's to go up here. But first we have to make our flowers. So when I went about this, I do make my flowers a lot from home, but I know a lot of you guys don't. So this was at Hobby Lobby. This was Hobby Lobby. If you go at the right time, you can get them on half price, which I was lucky enough to do. So I already took one of these little roses out, put that to the side, and then I have, all right, so this little cluster here, but what I'm doing is stealing from the clusters, because I only wanted 3. So there's one, there's another, and then, oh, it's right there in front of me. And then I'm stealing the leaves from both of them, and one more of these little ball things, which I think of as a bud, but I don't know, maybe they meant for it to be some kind of flower. But you just grab it and pull on it, holding onto the wire, because you certainly don't want to pull your decorative element off of your wire. And then you've got leftovers, so I'm putting these to the side as well. And then these are one of my favorite pieces of ephemera that I add to things. I could not possibly make these, so I'll use these on cards, on albums, whatever. I use these all the time, and they work really nice. And then I believe I have one of my own violets left over. Yes, I have a violet that goes right here. So I've got that to the side. And so what we have to do is we have to get out our floral tape. And the first thing you do is you cut yourself a length, and then you cut it in half. So I'm going to start with these two, start kind of high, and after you stretch it out, it works best, and you just wrap this around, and then I'm going to join it to this one. And I'm going to actually go up on this because I want to make both of them the same color up near the top, even though nobody will see it except me. But I do want that to be like that. So then I'll come back down, and it's going to be on the thick side, obviously, but this is not cake decorating. This is something else. So it's going to go the way it wants to go, just the way it is. So then you're going to cut yourself another piece. and then cut it in half. There we go. Stretch it out. And this time I'm going to grab my rose. So I'm going to start wrapping up at the top of the rose. If it'll let me. There we go. And I'm going to bring in one of these beads and I'm going to put it up a little bit higher. I'm going to join that with the tape. Then I'm going to bring the other two, I'm going to curve my wire the way I like it, pull out these little sepals, because I want to have one on one side in the front and one on the other side. Alright, so there's that one. And then this one, again, I need to pull these sepals out, curve my wire the way I like it. And it doesn't really matter how you put them together. It's just sometimes you have the best of intentions of doing it one way and the wires make it go another, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this around a little bit. Then, okay, so now that we've got these together, we need to bring in what I'm thinking of as thistle. That's what I call it anyways. And so we've got another piece right here. I'm going to start on the back of this one. Is it stretched? It is now. Okay, so we're going to go wrap around here. And then we're going to add our rose to that. Our rose cluster. All right, we'll bring this down. Alrighty, so that looks pretty good. And you'll see that this is a little bit shorter. There's a reason for that, right? So I'm gonna trim that just a smidgen with my wire cutters. And this is not too hard to do, but I'll admit it does have quite a bit of strength in there. Then I want to put a ribbon around it. So this is the same shade as this thinner ribbon that I used for these cute little keys. And this is not the easiest of things for me to do on live camera. So I'm going to cut it longer than I need it. And let's see, first I have to figure out which direction to angle my cut. We're going to cut it like that. I may have to fix that later. So put the ribbon over here, and I always do it from upside down because for some reason when I do bows, if I do them right side up, they end up looking like they're upside down. So that's just my little foible. So tie a cute little, not exactly a knot, and then bring your ribbon around. Sometimes my fingers are so fat I can't seem to get my ribbons. You know, it's like I don't know how to tie a shoelace. And this time my ribbon ended up right side up. So that's fine. I'll just turn it upside down and we'll try again. All right, there's that. I'm very picky about my bows. My husband even made me a very cute little bow maker thing. I could just wrap my ribbons this way and that, and next thing you know, I got a nice little bow. All right, look at that. Worked out pretty good, didn't it? Okay, not perfect, but perfect enough. So I'm gonna center this. I'm going to pull it so that it's just the size that I like, and then I'm going to trim my ribbons. And And this one is going that way and doesn't look like it needs to be trimmed. Okay, so now we're going to glue back here, right here, all the way down to about there. And then try to be very patient as it sets up. So it's going over here in the corner, and we're just going to press. We're just going to press, press, press. One of the things you could do while you're waiting, I've got my little button here. I'm going to squirt some glue right there. And then we can press two things at the same time. So this goes as kind of like as a diamond. Press that one down. And then I've got my cute little keys. And depending on which key you want in front is going to be, you know, how you glue that on. This little bitty key has some, like, I don't know, they're not runes, but something on there. And then this one, I don't know, it's just fancier, but I always put the bigger one in the back. So, because again, the metal is going to cool my glue, so I'm going to put most of this glue actually on the ribbon and just the top of that key. And then I'm going to put this about here. I'm going to bring in these leaves that I stole from that group of whatever they are, buds. And I'm gonna sneak it under here. This one goes under here somehow. Press that down. And then I've got the other one. We're gonna do similar, but a little bit higher. Like maybe about right here. Press that down. And then we have one little flower we're gonna put in front of the bow. I know some people who don't know how to make bows and they cheat and they use flowers to cover that up. But what I do is I actually put it above the bow to kind of cover up where the base of our bouquet is up there. But anyways, that's just the way I do it. And then the pièce de résistance is going to be our little lavender ribbon. And this is the gossamer stuff that I just love so much. And what I did is I kind of looped it around and just kind of let it do its thing. And I want it to go over there. So that's going to get cut. There we go. We're going to take this off. There we are. And first thing I'm going to do is put down a very small bead of glue right here. I don't really want it to show. I just want it to hold this in place. There we go. And then, like I said, I'm gonna let it do its thing. This one may not curl the same as the other. It might, who knows? All right. All right, so there's that. I kind of like it this way. So if I want it to stick, I've got to put a little bead of glue down here beneath this leaf. Not to stick the leaf to, but to stick the ribbon to. Not that anyone will see that. And then you see that I obviously cut too much, as usual. But better too much than too little. All right, and so then I'm going to trim this, if I can figure out how to work scissors. There. Take off the last little bit of my clips. I guess that's not quite glued on yet. We'll fix that. There we go. All right. And so there you have it. Not exactly the same, but nothing's exactly the same, especially in nature. So thank you for watching. Just as a reminder, I'm going to show you what we've done. And these, and these. This was how we curled the paper. And then, of course, the first ones that we did were these. So drop me a line, let me know what you think. Hope I've motivated you and hope you have a wonderful time crafting. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.